The vast expanse of space stretched beyond the reach of humanity's imagination, a cold, empty void where distant stars flickered like beacons. But in this silence, a strange and unsettling signal broke through, traveling across the stars at unimaginable speeds. The source, an alien race known for its brutal strength and superior technology. These beings had witnessed countless civilizations rise and fall, all of them unable to challenge their advanced weapons and tactics. They believed themselves to be invincible, until they learned about Earth. For years, Earth had been a quiet, almost invisible speck in the galaxy, a planet of relatively primitive humans, lost in their conflicts and their small-scale wars. To the aliens, humanity seemed like an insignificant blip, too weak to ever pose a threat to their empire. But as the signal made its way from deep space, it carried with it a chilling message. Earth was not as weak as the aliens believed. Earth was different. Humans were different. The alien race, whose technology surpassed anything humanity had ever seen, was planning an invasion. They would land on Earth, subjugate its inhabitants, and crush any hope of rebellion before it even began. The aliens thought it would be an easy victory. Their fleet was massive, filled with ships capable of wiping out entire cities with a single strike. They were ready to conquer, ready to destroy. As the alien fleet descended toward Earth, their ships cloaked themselves in advanced stealth technology, slowly materializing in Earth's orbit. To the alien commanders, it seemed like a perfect plan. Earth's defenses were outdated, its technology nowhere near the level of their own. They couldn't even imagine that their invasion might not go according to their plan. They were about to learn a deadly truth. Humans had something they didn't account for: human adrenaline. In a remote military base, deep within the rocky hills of a forgotten corner of the world, Captain John Bonner and his squad were just going about their daily routine. The soldiers there were trained for basic defense, for quiet peacekeeping. But that peace was shattered the moment the sky darkened with the shadows of alien ships. Bonner was no stranger to conflict. He had seen his fair share of war, but this was something entirely different. The air around him grew heavy, and his heart raced as the first alien ships decloaked in orbit. Bonner stood frozen for a moment, watching the dark silhouettes against the backdrop of the Earth's blue sky. The aliens had arrived. He couldn't believe his eyes. These ships were nothing like anything humanity had ever seen. Sleek, smooth, and unlike anything he had been trained to recognize, they glided through the sky with terrifying precision. The power emanating from them was enough to make his bones ache, and yet there they were, so close to the Earth. The ground beneath Bonner's feet shook as alarms blared across the base, snapping him out of his daze. His squad, a group of highly trained soldiers, was ready for anything, but nothing could have prepared them for this. The alien ships opened fire, and in an instant, a massive bombardment began. Orbital weapons rained down, striking the Earth with explosive force. The sky was filled with bright flashes as fire and smoke erupted across the landscape. Bonner's hand tightened around his weapon, his mind racing. His soldiers had no cloaking devices, no advanced shields, no eye-controlled weapons. All they had were their instincts, their training, and the sheer force of will that comes from being human. As the explosions rocked the base, he could feel a rush of adrenaline coursing through his veins. This wasn't fear. This wasn't panic. It was something else entirely: human determination. Human adrenaline wasn't a myth. Bonner muttered to himself, his voice low, but firm. The words were a reminder of what he had heard in old war stories. Humans had an incredible ability to fight, even in the face of impossible odds. Bonner knew now that his people were about to prove it. He took a deep breath and barked orders to his team. "Ready yourselves. We're not backing down." His voice was steady, even though his heart was pounding in his chest. His soldiers looked to him, their faces a mixture of fear and determination. There was no turning back now. As the alien drones and fighters began to pour from the motherships, Bonner's squad scrambled to deploy what little technology they had to defend the base. It wasn't much, but it was enough to buy them time. Laser cannons that had been designed for smaller, more conventional threats were repurposed and aimed at the alien invaders. Humans were creative, resourceful, and it was this very human quality that the aliens had underestimated. The camera shifted to Bonner's face, his eyes steely with resolve. The blinding light of the explosions reflected in his gaze, but there was no fear, only the unwavering will to survive. He gave a sharp command, and his squad fired back. The first few alien drones exploded in showers of sparks and metal, but there were many more to come. The alien ships, sleek and terrifying, continued their descent, with fighters darting from their belly like deadly insects. The fire from the alien fleet was overwhelming. The sound of plasma bolts slamming into the ground was deafening, the shockwaves powerful enough to throw soldiers off their feet. But Bonner stood his ground, leading his team through the chaos. The camera zoomed in on Bonner's hand, his fingers curling tightly around the trigger of his weapon. Every second counted now. The humans had no idea how to win, but they knew one thing. They weren't going to just roll over and die. The aliens may have had superior technology, but they lacked something that humans had in abundance: resilience. And Bonner was determined to make them pay for underestimating it. As the battle raged on, the camera pulled back to show the full scale of the destruction. The sky was filled with the deadly dance of missiles, lasers, and explosions. The alien ships swooped low, releasing devastating bombs that created shockwaves that shook the earth. Yet despite all this, Bonner's squad continued to fight, holding their ground with every ounce of strength they had. The screen flickered briefly as Bonner issued new orders, his voice rising above the noise. "We're not retreating. We're going to make them regret this." His words echoed through the base, a promise of defiance in the face of insurmountable odds. And in that moment, the humans understood. They were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for their future. The first alien fighters were destroyed, their wreckage raining down on Earth's surface. Bonner's eyes never left the sky, his mind focused on one thing: the battle ahead. The aliens had made their mistake. They thought humans were weak, that they were no match for an advanced alien race. But now, they were about to discover the truth, the terrifying power of human determination. As the dust settled and the explosions slowly faded, Bonner and his team stood at the edge of a war that would shape the future of humanity. The aliens were no longer just invaders. They were the enemy. And the humans were not going down without a fight. The sky above Earth was a battlefield, where the remnants of a once peaceful world now faced an overwhelming alien force. The invasion was in full swing, and the humans had only moments to react. As the alien ships unleashed a devastating bombardment, Captain John Bonner and his squad scrambled to defend their base. The invaders, armed with cloaking devices, advanced AI, and drones capable of executing complex combat strategies, had vastly superior technology. Their ships were sleek, their weapons advanced, and they had little faith in the human race's ability to mount any real resistance. Yet Bonner's team fought back with relentless determination. The alien fleet, which had arrived with such confidence, began to realize that they had miscalculated. They thought humans would simply cower before their might, but they were wrong. Humans had a power that the aliens didn't understand, a power born from resilience, resourcefulness, and an unwavering will to survive. The alien forces, using their cloaking devices, launched a surprise attack, their fighters appearing out of nowhere, raining fire upon Earth's cities. The drones, equipped with AI and advanced weaponry, were relentless, sweeping through human defenses with clinical precision. The humans, in comparison, had only basic weapons and equipment, no advanced technology, no AI-controlled systems. Yet Bonner's squad didn't back down. They weren't fighters by choice. They were fighters by necessity. The alien force had underestimated them, and now they were paying the price. Bonner's eyes scanned the horizon, watching as the alien ships decloaked, their massive forms hanging ominously in the sky. He gripped his weapon tightly, feeling the surge of adrenaline that was unique to humanity. The aliens might have superior firepower, but humans had something else: ingenuity. The humans didn't have the luxury of advanced tech, but they had a burning desire to survive, to protect their world. Bonner's squad, facing an overwhelming onslaught, began to adapt. The aliens were using AI-controlled drones that could think, adapt, and respond to any threat. These drones were far superior to anything the humans had ever faced. But Bonner wasn't going to let that stop him. He quickly ordered his squad to focus on the alien tech, searching for any weaknesses. He knew that if they could just get inside the systems of the drones, they could turn the tide. It wasn't long before Bonner's team discovered a vulnerability in the drone's programming. The aliens had created their machines to be autonomous, but they had overlooked one important detail: human ingenuity. Bonner's squad was able to hack into the drone's control system, using a combination of their own makeshift tech and their knowledge of the alien systems. They launched an EMP pulse, disabling the drone's communication systems and rendering them temporarily useless. The human soldiers cheered as several of the drones dropped from the sky, their weapons silenced. But the battle was far from over. The aliens quickly adapted, launching reinforcements and stepping up their assault. Bonner's squad didn't have much time. They were still outgunned, outnumbered, and facing an enemy that was far more advanced than they were. Yet, in the chaos of the battle, Bonner saw something incredible. His soldiers were not backing down. They were learning, adapting, and finding new ways to fight. In the midst of the firefight, as the war-torn city around them burned, something unimaginable happened. Private Mark, one of Bonner's closest allies, was struck by an alien plasma blast. His body fell to the ground with a sickening thud, and the squad's morale was shattered in an instant. Bonner's heart sank as he saw the lifeless body of his friend. For a moment, he was paralyzed by grief. Mark had been with him through countless missions, and now he was gone. It was a loss that cut deep, but Bonner knew that he couldn't allow the sadness to take over. Mark had died fighting to protect humanity, and Bonner would honor that sacrifice by doing the same. With his emotions churning, Bonner stood tall, wiping the grief from his eyes. He turned to his squad, his voice strong despite the pain. "We fight for Mark. We fight for everyone we've lost. We fight because we are human, and we will not be erased." The soldiers, despite their fear and exhaustion, rallied around Bonner's words. They weren't just fighting for their lives anymore. They were fighting for something much bigger: their world, their freedom, and the memory of those they had lost. The battle raged on, the sounds of explosions and gunfire ringing in the air. The city around them was in ruins, buildings collapsed, streets littered with debris. The once bustling metropolis had become a battleground. Bonner and his squad used whatever they could find: scavenged alien weapons, makeshift explosives, and their own cunning, to push back the invaders. In one particularly harrowing moment, Bonner found himself in close-quarters combat with a group of alien soldiers. Their robotic bodies moved with terrifying precision, their weapons designed to tear through flesh and bone. Bonner, however, had the advantage of human adaptability. He dove into a nearby alley, using the environment to his advantage, turning tight corners and leading the aliens into traps. His soldiers followed his lead, ambushing the aliens from all sides. In the chaos of the firefight, the camera zoomed in on Bonner's face. His expression was fierce, determined, but there was a hint of something else, something that the aliens couldn't understand: hope. Even as his soldiers fought against overwhelming odds, Bonner never gave up. He had seen too many of his comrades fall, but he had also seen the incredible strength that humans were capable of when pushed to their limits. The aliens could never understand that. The city burned as the humans fought on. Alien drones hovered above, launching plasma fire at anything that moved, while human soldiers huddled behind barricades, scavenging whatever they could to fight back. Bonner's voice rang out, directing his squad through the chaos, coordinating their attacks. The battle was far from won, But humanity had something the aliens didn't, an unyielding spirit that could not be extinguished. As the battle progressed, it became clear that the aliens had underestimated humanity. They had expected a quick, decisive victory, but instead, they were met with fierce resistance. For every drone that fell, for every alien soldier that died, the humans proved that they were not as weak as their enemies had thought. The battle in the war-torn city became a symbol of human strength and determination. The ruins of the city, the smoke rising into the air, painted a grim picture of the war humanity was fighting. But amidst the destruction, there was a flicker of hope. Bonner and his team were still alive. They were still fighting. They were still human. And no matter how advanced the alien technology was, the humans would never stop resisting. As the camera pulled back, showing the devastation around Bonner and his team, the aliens were beginning to realize something that they hadn't expected. The myth of human weakness was just that, a myth. Humanity was far stronger, far more resilient than the aliens had ever imagined. And Bonner, along with his squad, was determined to prove that to them, no matter the cost. The war for Earth had escalated. The human resistance, led by Captain John Bonner and his brave squad, had fought tooth and nail against an alien force that was technologically superior in almost every way. Their ships were cloaked in advanced technology, their drones almost invincible, and their robots capable of outsmarting even the most prepared human soldier. The aliens believed they had Earth's defenders on the ropes, expecting an easy victory. But as the battle continued, something unexpected began to happen. The human soldiers, though outmatched, fought with a fierce tenacity that the aliens couldn't understand. It wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a fight for humanity's future, and the humans were not about to give in. As Bonner's squad continued to push back the invaders, a strange, almost surreal occurrence began to unfold. Despite all odds, the humans were not just surviving. They were thriving. With each attack, each ambush, and each daring maneuver, the aliens were beginning to realize that the humans they had underestimated were proving to be far more resilient than they had imagined. Their drones, which had once been an unstoppable force, were now being disabled by EMP pulses and hacked by the very soldiers they sought to destroy. Their robotic soldiers, advanced and efficient, were being outwitted by the resourcefulness and adaptability of the humans. The aliens' confidence was starting to crack, but the real revelation was still to come. As the battle raged on, the alien fleet began to retreat. Their once imposing mothership, which had been hovering in the far reaches of Earth's orbit, turned to flee, cloaking itself with an advanced technology that rendered it invisible to human sensors. It was a ship of unimaginable power, designed to strike fear into any opponent. It was a ship that, in theory, should have been untouchable. Yet even as the aliens thought they were escaping, something remarkable happened. Bonner and his team, despite being faced with a technologically superior enemy, managed to track the mothership's location. The humans, armed with only their basic equipment, discovered the frequency needed to detect the cloaked ship. How? It wasn't just luck. The secret lay in something they had never considered before, a secret hidden deep within humanity itself. In a hidden research lab back at their base, a team of scientists had been working tirelessly, decoding alien frequencies and trying to unlock the secrets of the invaders' technology. After a series of breakthroughs, they discovered something startling. The human race had been unknowingly altered years before the invasion. A covert alien experiment, conducted long before the first alien ships arrived, had enhanced human biology. The result of this experiment was an incredible alteration to human physiology, an enhancement of human adrenaline. The experiment had been conducted in secret, and for years, humans had lived unaware of the change. The aliens, however, had known something was different about Earth's inhabitants. They had believed it was simply human determination or a fluke of biology. They had no idea that the power behind the humans' resilience came from something far more extraordinary. It was this enhanced adrenaline, This natural energy coursing through human bodies that made them so uniquely suited to battle the invaders. As Bonner's squad learned of this discovery, it became clear that the aliens had made a grave mistake. They had underestimated the sheer power of human will. While they had relied on their advanced technology and artificial intelligence to crush humanity, they had failed to account for the humans' ability to endure and adapt. The human strength wasn't just in their weapons or their strategies. It was in their hearts, in their very blood. And that, it seemed, was something the aliens could never replicate. The aliens' leadership, once confident in their superior technology, now found themselves in a panic. Their forces, though powerful, were struggling to hold their ground against the relentless human resistance. The alien commanders, communicating in encrypted frequencies, began to realize that humanity's resilience was a force beyond their understanding. They had thought of humans as weak, as primitive, but the truth was far different. The high-ranking aliens convened in a command room aboard the mothership, their faces twisted with fear and confusion. They had no idea how to counter this new, unexpected force. The alien leaders had always believed that their superiority would guarantee victory. They had relied on their advanced technology and AI-controlled machines, but none of it had prepared them for the sheer power of human spirit. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Bonner and his team were preparing for the final assault. Armed with the knowledge of humanity's enhanced capabilities, they felt an overwhelming sense of pride. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting with a purpose. They were fighting for something greater than themselves. The humans had discovered a way to tap into the power within them. Using the frequency they had decoded, they could now track the mothership, and they had gathered a team of scientists and engineers to build a weapon capable of piercing the alien ship's advanced cloaking shield. Bonner knew that the final battle would be their last chance to defeat the invaders once and for all. The stakes were higher than ever before. As the camera zoomed in on the human soldiers preparing for the final showdown, the mood was tense. The camera panned over Bonner's face, showing the strain of leadership, the weight of the responsibility that now rested on his shoulders. He had seen too many comrades fall, but now he carried the knowledge that humanity's true strength was within them all along. It wasn't their weapons, their technology, or their armies that made them strong. It was their hearts. In the research lab, the scientists worked furiously, surrounded by holographic screens that displayed intricate alien frequencies and human DNA. They were decoding the final pieces of the puzzle, preparing the final weapon that could bring down the mothership. The humans, once seen as weak and insignificant, were now armed with the knowledge that could turn the tide of the war. As the countdown to the final attack began, Bonner addressed his team one last time. This is it. This is our moment. We're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for the future of every living thing on this planet. We've been underestimated for too long. Now it's time to show the aliens what it means to face the full force of humanity. The battle that followed was nothing short of cinematic. The humans, now armed with the knowledge of their own enhanced abilities, launched their final assault on the alien mothership. The skies above Earth became a battlefield of light and sound as human ships, powered by newfound technology, clashed with the alien fleet. The camera zoomed in on Bonner and his squad, leading the charge, pushing through the alien defenses with an unstoppable force. As the mothership began to shake, its cloaking device faltering under the assault, the aliens aboard it realized the truth too late. The humans were not weak. They were not easy prey. They were a force unlike any the galaxy had ever seen, and the aliens had made the mistake of thinking otherwise. Bonner's voice rang out over the battlefield. For Earth, for humanity. And as the final blow struck the mothership, the screen faded to black. The fight for Earth was far from over, but one thing was clear. Humanity had revealed its true power. The aliens had underestimated them, and now they would pay the price. The story of humanity's victory over the invaders had just begun. The war for Earth had reached a crucial turning point. The humans, led by Captain John Bonner, were no longer simply defending their planet. They were taking the fight directly to the heart of the alien invasion. Bonner's squad moved quickly and silently, cloaked by the advanced alien technology they had scavenged. Each step was calculated, each movement deliberate. The air was thick with the sense that they were on the verge of something monumental. But despite their technological advantage, Bonner knew the real battle wasn't just about tech. It was about the raw strength and ingenuity of the humans fighting to protect their home. As they neared the mothership's command hub, their adrenaline surged, ready to fuel them through the upcoming battle. The first sign of trouble came when they entered the ship's interior. The walls, lined with pulsating blue lights, felt alien and foreign, an environment that no human had ever seen before. The air smelled sterile, filled with the hum of the ship's advanced systems. It was a far cry from the chaos of Earth's war-torn cities, yet the feeling of dread was universal. They were inside the belly of the beast. Soon enough, the squad encountered the first wave of alien defenders. The ship's corridors, though futuristic, became a battlefield as the humans fought off the first wave of robotic soldiers and automated drones. The aliens' machines were formidable, but they were no match for the humans' fierce determination and quick thinking. Bonner led the charge, moving swiftly through the corridors, barking orders to his team as they engaged in close-quarters combat. The sound of blasters echoed through the metallic hallways, each shot punctuated by the sharp clanging of metal and the hissing of overheating machinery. The team fought as a well-oiled machine, using the same resourcefulness and grit that had gotten them this far. They had no advanced training in space combat or alien technology, but what they lacked in experience, they made up for in courage and an unrelenting will to survive. As the squad advanced deeper into the mothership, the stakes only grew higher. Alien drones emerged from every corner, their mechanical bodies moving with precision and speed. But the humans were ready, using their enhanced adrenaline and raw strength. Bonner's squad fought back with an intensity that stunned their enemies. Every punch, every shot, every maneuver was fueled by the knowledge that their survival depended on them pushing forward. Finally, they'd reached the central command hub. The massive doors to the heart of the mothership stood in front of them, reinforced by thick metallic plating. The door itself seemed almost impenetrable, but Bonner and his team had come this far, and there was no turning back. With a single command, they activated the explosives they had carried, placing them carefully on the seams of the door. The countdown began, and the team took up positions, preparing for what was about to come. The moment the door exploded, the squad stormed into the control room, guns raised and ready for a fight. But the room was not empty. Standing at the center of the room, surrounded by alien consoles and holographic screens, was the alien commander, the very leader of the invasion force. His form was tall and imposing, his armor shimmering with advanced technology that far surpassed anything the humans had ever seen. "You're too late, human," the commander sneered, his voice filled with disdain. "Your kind is nothing but primitive creatures. You cannot even begin to comprehend the technology that powers my forces." Bonner stood at the front of his team, his expression hardening. The alien commander's words only fueled his rage. This wasn't just about defeating an enemy. It was about avenging the countless lives lost during the invasion. It was about proving that humanity's will could never be broken. Without saying a word, Bonner lunged forward, closing the distance between himself and the commander in a flash. The two collided in a brutal hand-to-hand battle, the force of their movements shaking the walls of the command hub. Bonner's fists slammed into the alien's armored chest, each strike filled with a burning determination that came from the depths of his soul. The commander fought back, his alien strength matching Bonner's every move, but Bonner refused to back down. "Primitive," the alien commander hissed, mocking Bonner's every move. "You humans are so predictable. Your brute force cannot match our intellect. You will die as the rest of your kind did, helpless and weak." But Bonner's eyes burned with something the commander hadn't counted on: the raw power of human spirit. With each punch, Bonner could feel the surge of adrenaline coursing through his veins, giving him strength far beyond what any alien could comprehend. He had lost too much. His comrades, his friends, he had seen them fall in the name of humanity's survival. And now, in this moment, he would make sure the aliens felt the full force of what it meant to face a human. The battle was fierce. The two warriors collided again and again, the sound of their blows echoing in the room. Sparks flew as Bonner's fists struck the commander's armor, and the floor shook with each powerful kick. The squad watched in awe, their hearts pounding in their chests, as Bonner fought like a man possessed. It wasn't just about defeating the enemy. It was about honoring the fallen, about showing the aliens that no matter how advanced they were, they could never defeat the power of the human will. As the battle reached its climax, Bonner delivered a final devastating blow to the alien commander. With a cry of pain, the commander fell to the ground, his body crumpling beneath the force of Bonner's punch. The room fell silent, save for the hum of the ship's failing systems. Bonner stood over the defeated alien leader, panting heavily, his chest rising and falling with every breath. "You were wrong," Bonner said, his voice low but filled with conviction. "We're not primitive. We're human. And that's the difference." With the commander defeated, the remaining alien forces began to falter. The humans had struck a devastating blow to the heart of the alien invasion, and it was only a matter of time before the rest of the alien fleet was defeated. But as Bonner looked around at his team, he knew that their fight was far from over. This victory was just the beginning. The battle for Earth had shown the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated. They had proven that even against the most advanced forces, humanity's strength was unmatched. And as the camera zoomed out from the command hub, showing the burning wreckage of the alien mothership, one thing was clear: humanity had struck back, and the aliens would never forget the price they had paid for underestimating mankind. The battle had raged for what felt like an eternity. But now, as the remnants of the alien mothership shuddered and sparked, the final moments of the war were upon them. Bonner and his remaining squad of soldiers were deep inside the mothership, their mission clear. They had to take down the alien AI core that controlled the fleet's power. It was the heart of the invasion, and without it, the aliens' forces would be rendered powerless. But the journey to this moment had been filled with pain, loss, and unimaginable sacrifices. The team moved swiftly through the chaotic corridors, the flickering lights casting shadows that seemed to dance in rhythm with the pounding of their hearts. They were close now, closer than they had ever been. But Bonner's mind wasn't just focused on the mission, it was on his fallen comrades. Each step brought him closer to the core. But it also reminded him of every life lost along the way. Private Mark, Sergeant Turner, and now, Private Emily. Each death weighed heavily on him, but he knew he couldn't stop. The human spirit was stronger than the aliens had ever realized, and the fight wasn't over yet. They reached the heart of the mothership, the room where the AI core pulsed with an eerie, unnatural glow. It was the brain of the entire alien operation, a technological marvel that controlled the entire fleet. As the squad stepped into the room, the lights seemed to dim, and a low hum filled the air. It was as if the very walls of the mothership were alive, anticipating their every move. Bonner's squad worked quickly, planting explosives around the core. But as they prepared to finish their mission, another wave of alien defenders appeared. It was an all-out assault, and the soldiers fought back with everything they had. The battle in the core room was intense. Gunfire, explosions, and the clash of metal against metal. But despite their best efforts, the aliens were relentless. As Bonner turned to check on his team, his heart sank when he saw Private Emily fall. A shot rang out, and Emily crumpled to the ground, her face twisted in pain. The squad fought fiercely to hold their ground, but Bonner's mind was focused entirely on Emily. He rushed to her side, kneeling beside her as she gasped for breath. She tried to speak, her voice barely a whisper. "Bonner, finish it. Fight until the last breath." Her words struck deep into his heart, igniting a fire in him that no alien force could ever extinguish. He promised her, "We'll finish this, Emily. I swear it." But as he watched her slip away, he knew that the cost of victory would be more than any of them had bargained for. She had given everything for this cause, and her sacrifice would not be in vain. Bonner stood, his eyes hard with resolve. "Move out," he shouted, rallying the remaining soldiers. They had no time to mourn. The mission had to be completed. With grim determination, they activated the explosives that would take down the core. A countdown began, and the team braced for the final push. The final battle was intense. The AI core was a marvel of technology, and it fought back with every defense it had. But the humans were relentless. Bonner and his team, battered and bloodied, fought with a fury that only comes when there is nothing left to lose. The sound of their weapons ringing out against the alien defenses echoed through the room as they pushed forward, determined to end the war once and for all. And then it happened. The core exploded in a massive burst of fiery energy. The shockwave ripped through the mothership, sending the ship into a tailspin. Sparks cascaded through the air, and the walls trembled with the force of the explosion. Bonner and his squad were thrown to the ground, their bodies rocked by the impact. But they had done it. The heart of the alien fleet was destroyed. As the smoke cleared, Bonner's team stood over the wreckage of the AI core. The walls were scared, and the floor was littered with debris. But the mission was complete. The alien fleet was powerless, their invasion effectively over. Bonner looked around at his team, the few soldiers who had survived the battle. The cost had been high, but they had changed the course of the war. They had shown the galaxy that humanity could not be defeated, no matter the odds. Bonner stood there for a moment, his breath heavy and his mind racing. The battle was won, but the weight of their losses pressed down on him. He looked at the wreckage of the alien ship and thought about the sacrifices that had been made to get to this point. Emily, Mark, Turner, they had all given their lives so that humanity could survive. "We fight to the end," Bonner muttered to himself, the words feeling like a mantra. "It's who we are." The statement rang true in his heart. It was what had gotten them this far, what had allowed them to stand against an unstoppable force and emerge victorious. They were human, and that made them powerful in ways the aliens could never understand. The mothership began to break apart as the explosion took its toll. The damage was catastrophic, and the alien fleet began to retreat, their once pristine ships now crippled and helpless. Bonner and his squad watched as the remaining ships scattered into space, no longer able to carry out their invasion. The fight was over, and humanity had emerged victorious. But the victory was bittersweet. As the camera zoomed out, showing the wreckage of the mothership and the burning remnants of the alien fleet, Bonner couldn't help but think of all the lives lost along the way. The war had taken everything from them. Yet, despite the unimaginable cost, the human spirit had triumphed. Bonner's squad, now battle-worn and weary, stood together in silence. They had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. The galaxy had learned a harsh lesson that day, that humans were not to be underestimated. They had faced the most advanced alien forces, fought with everything they had, and in the end, they had changed the course of history. As Bonner looked out into the vast expanse of space, he knew that humanity's resilience had been proven. The fight wasn't over, not by a long shot, but for the first time in a long time, he felt a sense of peace. They had fought until the last breath, just as Emily had asked, and they had won. The final moments of the war had arrived. Earth, once on the brink of destruction, now stood at the edge of an incredible victory. The aliens had thrown everything they had at humanity: advanced warships, armies of AI-controlled drones, and fleets of automated fighters. But now, as the last line of defense was being unleashed, humanity was prepared. Bonner and his team had come so far, and they weren't about to back down. The alien fleet had been reduced to nothing more than a few desperate ships. The last wave of resistance came in the form of unmanned warships, each one piloted by AI systems so advanced that even the humans were amazed by their capabilities. These were the final tools in the alien war machine, designed to overwhelm human forces with cold, calculated precision. But Bonner and his team knew that, in the end, the key to victory would not be in superior technology or AI. It would be in human strength, ingenuity, and the will to fight for survival. As Bonner and his team prepared to launch one final assault into space, the tension in the air was thick with anticipation. This was it, the final showdown. There was no turning back now. The team's remaining weapons were a mixture of scavenged alien tech, human-designed ingenuity, and pure willpower. They were running low on supplies, and the battles had taken a toll on each of them, both physically and mentally. But they had one final chance to strike, and they knew that this battle would decide the fate of their world. The camera zoomed out, showing Bonner and his squad aboard a patched-up human warship, ready to face the alien eye-controlled fleet in the vastness of space. They had already taken down the AI core of the mothership, but the alien leadership was not ready to surrender. Now they were sending their last line of defense, an entire fleet of unmanned warships controlled by AI systems, each ship designed to be faster, stronger, and more efficient than anything humans had ever faced before. These ships would be their greatest challenge yet. But the aliens had underestimated one thing: human adaptability. Bonner knew that humans were at their best when the odds were stacked against them. And this would be no different. As the alien warships appeared on the radar, Bonner's voice rang out, calm and determined. "This is it, team. We take them down, no matter what. Remember why we're here. For Earth. For everyone we've lost." The battle in space was nothing short of spectacular. The human warship maneuvered around asteroids and debris, weaving through the oncoming fire of the alien fleet. The AI-controlled warships were incredibly efficient, launching laser blasts and automated strikes with pinpoint accuracy. But Bonner and his team fought back with everything they had, using every bit of alien technology they had scavenged to outmaneuver the machines. Humanity's strength came not from the technology they used, but from the human spirit that guided it. Bonner's team adapted to the alien tactics with each passing minute, turning their own technology against the invaders. They hacked into the AI systems, disrupting their communication and causing the alien ships to malfunction at critical moments. Using alien cloaking devices and EMP weapons, Bonner's team disabled some of the warships, rendering them powerless and allowing the human fleet to gain the upper hand. The final battle reached its climax when Bonner led a daring assault on the lead AI warship. His ship's engines roared as it charged toward the massive vessel, dodging enemy fire and closing in on the heart of the alien fleet. With every shot, every maneuver, Bonner and his squad destroyed one ship after another. But the enemy was relentless, and the final AI commander was still operational, determined to strike the final blow. In a desperate final push, Bonner faced the alien commander in a one-on-one confrontation. The battle was fierce, a fight between human ingenuity and the cold, calculating power of AI. The alien commander, an advanced AI system designed for combat, mocked Bonner for his primitive methods. It believed that humanity's emotional responses and instinctive tactics were nothing compared to its own precision. But Bonner's rage, fueled by the loss of his comrades and the desire to protect his home, was more powerful than any machine. The fight was a blur of laser blasts, close-quarters combat, and the hum of energy shields. Bonner's ship took heavy damage, but he was determined. He led the final charge, and with a well-placed strike, he took down the AI commander. The alien ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light, and the rest of the fleet began to retreat, unable to continue without their leader. The victory was bittersweet. Bonner stood alone in the wreckage of the final battle, his heart heavy with the weight of the lives lost along the way. His team had fought valiantly, but so many had sacrificed everything to get to this point. As he looked at the wreckage of the alien fleet, Bonner's eyes were drawn to Earth, peaceful once more in the distance. The alien invasion was over. humanity had won, but at a great cost. The camera zoomed out, showing Earth from space, its blue oceans and green continents now untouched by the destruction that had once seemed inevitable. The human fleet hovered in orbit, victorious, but quiet in their triumph. There would be no grand celebrations, no parades in the streets. Not yet. The war had taken too much from them. But for now, the fight was over, and Earth was safe. Bonner stood at the bridge of the human ship, looking out at the stars. He was tired, his body and mind both battered from the long campaign. But as he looked at the vastness of space, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. They had fought against an overwhelming force and emerged victorious. Humanity had been tested in ways that no one could have predicted, but they had proven that they were capable of greatness. "We did it," Bonner whispered to himself. The words didn't feel real at first, but as he looked out at the peaceful Earth, he knew it was true. The war was over. Humanity had earned its place among the stars. The story closed with Bonner staring at the stars, a man who had seen the worst the universe had to offer, but had never stopped fighting. In that moment, he understood the true power of humanity. Their ability to fight when it seemed impossible, to endure when the odds were stacked against them, and to rise up when everyone else had counted them out. For the first time, he knew that Earth, and humanity as a whole, was ready to face whatever the future might hold. And with that, the screen faded to black, leaving behind a sense of hope and determination that would last for generations to come.